Did you know that Alcatraz Island, once home to notorious criminals like Al Capone, was believed to be inescapable? Today, we're diving into the intriguing creation and history of Alcatraz Prison Island, explore its transformation from a military fortress to a maximum security federal penitentiary, and discover why it still captures our imagination today. Let's take a look at its history and how it was built. In 1775, Spanish explorer Juan Manuel de Ayala christened Alcatraz Island La Isla de los Alcatrazes, meaning Island of the Pelicans. A century later, in 1850, President Millard Fillmore designated the island for military use. A fortress was built, armed with over 100 cannons, and the island's first lighthouse was erected during the 1850s. Later, in the 1850s, the US Army began using Alcatraz to hold military prisoners. It became an ideal location, isolated by San Francisco Bay's cold, swift waters. During its early years as a military prison, Alcatraz housed Confederate sympathizers and individuals accused of treason during the American Civil War. It also detained American Indians involved in land disputes with the federal government, such as the 19 Hopi inmates from the Arizona Territory in 1895. Over the years, Alcatraz's inmate population grew due to the Spanish-American War in 1898 and the arrival of new prisoners. Inmate labor was instrumental in constructing a new cell house on Alcatraz during the early 20th century. This cell house, containing 600 cells, still stands today as the world's largest reinforced concrete building. Alcatraz became notorious for being inescapable, thanks to its isolated island location and the assumption that no inmate could survive the frigid bay waters. In 1933, the US Justice Department took Alcatraz from the Army. After extensive security improvements, Alcatraz officially opened as a maximum security federal prison on July 1, 1934. It was intended to house criminals who were too dangerous or disruptive for other federal prisons. Warden James A. Johnston initiated strict security measures, including one guard for every 3 prisoners, and assigned each inmate to a solitary cell. Alcatraz's reputation attracted some of America's most notorious criminals. Among them was Al Capone, the infamous gangster who spent 4.5 years at the prison during the 1930s. His incarceration at Alcatraz marked the end of his criminal reign, as the prison's isolation prevented him from running his Chicago illegal operations. Other famous inmates included George Machine Gun Kelly, who served 17 years for kidnapping, and Alvin Creepy Karpis Karpowicz, named Public Enemy No. 1 by the FBI during the 30s. Karpis spent over 25 years at Alcatraz, more than any other prisoner. Robert Stroud, called the Birdman of Alcatraz, was transferred there after 3 decades at the federal prison in Leavenworth, Kansas, and served 17 years on the island. Over the years, Alcatraz witnessed 14 known escape attempts involving 36 inmates. The prison's reputation for being escape-proof was upheld, as 23 escapees were captured, 6 were shot and killed during their attempts, 2 drowned, and 5 went missing, presumed drowned. One of the most famous attempts occurred in 1946 when 6 prisoners overpowered guards, gaining access to weapons, but not the keys to the exit. 2 correctional officers were killed in the ensuing battle, and 18 others were injured. The US Marines were called in, resulting in the deaths of 3 inmates and the trial of 3 others, 2 of whom received the death penalty. Alcatraz's operating expenses far exceeded those of other federal facilities due to its isolated location, requiring all supplies to be shipped. Furthermore, the salty sea air had deteriorated the building's concrete structure. In 1963, the federal prison on Alcatraz officially closed its doors. Over its nearly 3-decade existence, Alcatraz housed a total of 1,576 inmates. In 1969, a group of Native Americans led by Mohawk activist Richard Oakes arrived on Alcatraz Island, claiming it on behalf of Indians of all tribes. They aimed to establish a university and a museum on the island. Oakes left Alcatraz after his stepdaughter died in 1970, and the remaining occupiers, whose unity had eroded, were removed by President Richard M. Nixon's order in 1971. The island became part of the Golden Gate National Recreation Area in 1972 and opened publicly the next year. Today, Alcatraz Island is a popular tourist destination, drawing over 1 million visitors annually. Its history as both a military prison and federal penitentiary continues to captivate the imaginations of those who explore its storied past. What's your favorite historical fact about Alcatraz Island? Share it with us in the comment box below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel, hit the bell icon for more fascinating content, and give this video a thumbs up. Share it with your friends to spread the knowledge.